All right, so it's in the news, it's being talked about, so we definitely need to cover it, shine a little truth and a little light on it. And I'm talking about Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas. Yes, there are COVID cases on board. Yes, they have had to skip 2 ports because of it. And we'll get into all of it right after this. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas. So this saga of the Odyssey of the Seas here started a few days ago when they left port. Apparently there was a passenger who boarded the ship knowing that they were symptomatic. Whether that part is 100% true or not, do not know. What we do know is that they went down to medical, were tested positive. So the cruise ship went back to port, dropped that passenger off, and then resumed sailing. No issues, no problems, continued on with their itinerary. Well, it's changed a little bit since then, and as of now, we have 55 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on board the Odyssey of the Seas. Now, the majority of these cases are amongst the crew, but because there are positive cases on board, they were sailing down towards the ABC Islands, which we talked about yesterday. And of course, the ABC Islands are Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Well, they were supposed to dock down there, but because of the cases of COVID-19 on board, in conjunction with the health department there in the ABC Islands, it was determined that they would be skipping their ports in both Aruba and in Curacao. Now, you have to understand that there in the ABC Islands, they are also having their own issues, their own problems with a rise of COVID-19 cases. And these are small islands with small medical facilities. So it was determined that the best course of action was to not introduce cruise passengers into that environment. So neither the cruise passengers are at risk of taking it on the shore or catching it while ashore and bringing it back on the ship. And of course, you know that the people living there don't have an increased risk by catching it from members on board the ship. So the skipping of the ports was done out of an abundance of caution. We saw the same thing happen yesterday here with the Carnival Freedom. It has positive tests amongst its crew members as well. And they also did not dock in the ABC Islands for these same reasons. Now, like always, you read the news articles from the mainstream media, and of course this is outbreak on cruise ships. An outbreak. The pandemic is arising. The petri dishes are back. All of that utter nonsense, of course, is still being put out there in the news. Yes, there are cases. Yes, there's going to continue to be cases. Yes, there has been cases previous to this. But let's keep in mind, on the Carnival Freedom, Symphony of the Seas, on the Oasis of the Seas, we're talking less than 1% of these tests are positive. They are asymptomatic or very mild symptoms only. Understand, these tests are coming up as positives, and they're coming up amongst the crew because the crew is tested as part of a routine that's built into the health and safety protocols. So it's not like these crew members are going down to medical sick. It's not like the vast majority of passengers that are testing positive are going down to medical saying they are sick. You have crew members getting routine tests and they're coming up positive, and they're more than likely, since they're asymptomatic, going, "What? Didn't even know." Then occasionally you have one passenger who does feel ill, goes down to medical, tests positive, then they do contact tracing, and then when they start checking people around them, they find some more positive tests. Now, I know that doesn't make missing cruise ports any better. No, that does not lessen the severity of COVID-19, the pandemic, and the spread of it around the world. I'm not trying to downplay COVID in any way, but when we're talking about some of these positive cases on board cruise ships, the people don't even know. We're not talking cruise ships full of sick people, but we are talking about positive tests, and it is preventing some cruise ships from stopping in a few of the cruise ports right now until this settles back down. But I just like to talk about these stories to put the truth out there that no, there is not an outbreak. No, they're not floating out there in the ocean with a ship full of sick people. When these cases are found, the individuals are isolated. Contact tracing is done, and the cruise lines are handling it, and the cruise goes on the best it can with what's available to it. In this case of Odyssey of the Seas, they are going to be returning back to port as normal. They're not coming back early. They're just going to have a few extra sea days, and then they're going to head right back onto port. Now, Royal Caribbean is taking care of those passengers on board the ship. My understanding is they're getting a little extra cruise credit, a refund for the days that they couldn't reach their ports, and of course, any port fees and excursions associated with that. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew, down there in the ABC Islands, because this is where it has happened twice. Look, they have their own issues with COVID-19. The cruise lines are having an increased number of cases coming to light on board their cruise ships. And they just, between the cruise lines and the health ministries there, they felt it was best that they just didn't intermingle the two. Don't introduce anything new into the island, and don't risk anything coming off the island to be introduced onto the cruise ship. It makes good sense. It's done in an abundance of caution. Missing your cruise port totally sucks. It's especially if that is one that you really, really wanted to go see. But like I said, this is being done for caution. And I would rather have to skip a port and keep cruising than not be able to cruise at all. That's how I feel about it. I know not everybody will feel the same about it. I know there's been questions and talk and suggestion that the cruise line should shut back down. No, I completely disagree with all of that. I do not feel the cruise lines are going to shut down or need to shut down. At least they have not come close to that point yet. Look, we're talking less than 1% on a cruise ship. The state of Florida alone is at 5% and probably climbing. And there are several states that are way higher than even Florida. And just to give, I think, what is probably a really good super example. So my daughter, who runs her own YouTube channel, Criminology and Coffee, well, she just spent the last 3 days in Disney World there in Florida with my granddaughters for a little Christmas present for each other down there. And she was telling me about the crowds down there. I mean, that place is packed. Yes, they have mask requirements and they have health and safety protocols, but that place is packed. Shoulder to shoulder people. People standing in long old lines together. And just huge amounts of crowd down there. So that begs me the question, makes me want to know, I wonder if we tested everybody standing shoulder to shoulder down in Disney, how many positive cases do you think could come out of that? Of people who have no idea because a majority are asymptomatic versus the number on the cruise ships. I would be real curious to know what the percentage for Disney World would be compared to the 1% for Odyssey of the Seas. Well, y'all let me know in the comments below, what do y'all think? Do you think it would be higher at Disney or higher on the Odyssey? All right, hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, smash that like button. Have yourself a great day, and like always, we will see you out on the high seas.